Okay guys, so this is going to be a real quick little video where I'm going to show you how to replace the float valves on a set of motorcycle CV carburetors. Now, before we start replacing anything and removing things from the carbs, the first thing we have to do is to drain out the fuel from the float balls. Now this is really easy to do. All you gotta do is undo the fuel drain screw at the bottom of the float ball. Once you undo it, fuel will come out and you have to empty all of the carbs, in your set. Once the fuel is out, we are going to flip over the carbs so we have good access to the float balls. And we are going to remove the screws that hold the float ball in place. Once the screws are out, we are going to remove the float ball, and then we will have access to the float and the float valve under it. Now, before we remove the float, we are going to inspect to see how the float operates, whether it's stuck and whether there's any sort of abnormality related to its operation. To inspect it, simply tap the floats a bit and also tap them in the natural position of the carburetors. So turn them back into their proper position and as they are on the bike or on a car in my case. So the floats have to move freely, completely freely, and they also must not get stuck, even a little bit at any sort of position, and they also have to be a bit bouncy towards the end of their travel. So if there's no bounciness, if they get stuck at all, then there's something definitely wrong when it comes, to the float operation, and most likely you need to replace your float valves. Now, to get access to the float valves, to be able to remove and replace them, we need to remove the float. Now, the float is held in place by a little pin. Now, if you get, pliers and try to remove the pin, you probably won't be able to do so because there usually won't be enough of the pin, sticking out so you can grab it with your pliers. In that case, you need to push at the pin from the other side. You need something very thin, and what I did in my case is I took this little screwdriver and I sanded the edges, to make the tip narrower so that I can push at the pin from the other side. And once you push at the pin from the other side, it will stick out enough so you can grab it with the pliers and just pull it out. Once you pull the pin out, the floats will probably just drop and you can lift them out of the carburetor body. Once you lift the floats out, you are going to see the float valve in its little groove inside the float. Removing it is really easy. Just slide it out from the groove and then you will have removed the float valve from your carburetor. This is also a great opportunity to inspect the float valve. So what you want to inspect is this top black cone, which is called the float needle. This is a rubber part that seals against the float seat. Now, in my case, you can see a little ring that has been worn into the float needle, and this is almost always a sign that the float valves need replacing, because if there's a ring worn into it, they won't seal as well, and some fuel might be leaking past the float valve, and this is of course going to cause your carburetors, probably to operate a bit richer than they should, to have a rough idle or some other, sort of things that you do not want your engine to do. So once the float valves have been removed, it's time to look at the float seat. Now, the float seat, you want it to be shiny, you want it to be smooth, you do not want to see any sort of scratches or damage on the float seat. In case you see damage, you need to replace the float seat. Now, not all float seats are replaceable. In my case, these are carburetors from a Honda CBR 600 F4. Now, in the case of these carbs, the float seat is not replaceable and you need to probably replace the entire carburetor body. In case of some other carburetors, the float seat is held down by a screw head and it has its own little rubber O-ring and it can all be replaced. Simply remove the screw and get the seat out and replace it with a brand new seat. In my case, fortunately, the seat's all good and there's no need to replace anything. So now let's take a look at the old float valves side by side to the new float valves. As you can see, there is absolutely no ring, of course, worn into the float needle of the new valves, and you can see the difference you know, right here when they are side by side, and it's obvious that the old fault valves, you know, needed replacement. Installing the fault valves is really simple, and it's pretty much the reverse process of when we remove them. The first thing to do is to get the new fault valves and gently slide them into their groove in the fault. Then lower the fault in position and get the fault valve back into the fault seat. Then get the pin and slide it back in, and you are pretty much done with the install of the new fault valve. Of course, don't forget to check the new fault valve and fault assembly for proper operation. And when you're sure everything is working nicely, put back the faults on, you know, tighten them down, and then do this process for all the other remaining carburetors that need their fault valves replaced. And there you have it, a quick and simple little video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope it's useful for someone that needs, you know, to do this job on their own carburetor. It's a simple thing that you can definitely do yourself, and, you know, save some time and some money and learn something in the process as well. So that's pretty much it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll be seeing you soon with more fun and useful stuff on the D4A channel.